Welcome to the Addicted to Recovery podcast, where we will delve into the transformative journey of overcoming addiction and embracing a life of recovery. In this podcast, we share stories of hope, resilience, and triumph, exploring the challenges, victories, and lessons learned along the way. The Addicted to Recovery podcast is a platform for sharing stories of resilience, hope, and transformation in the face of addiction. Through candid conversations and heartfelt reflections, we aim to inspire, educate, and empower listeners on their own journey of recovery. Join us as we explore the path from darkness to light, from addiction to freedom, and from despair to hope. This is Addicted to Recovery. So, thanks very much for being here today, and I really appreciate you taking your time to share your story with us. So I would like to take the people that listen to this on a bit of a journey with you, looking back at your past, the decisions that have shaped your recovery, and then what life looks for you now. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's just kind of start maybe at the beginning, and you maybe tell us a wee bit about what life was like for you, and was there a specific moment when you realised that drugs or alcohol were becoming a bit of a problem?
So I moved out to my mum's, my dad's alcoholic, and there's addiction and alcoholism all through my family. So I moved out my mum's when I was about 17. I moved to the city centre in Edinburgh and moved into a big supported accommodation place, and that's where it sort of happened. So downers was sort of my thing. And I had a bad addiction with dihydrocodeine and diazepam. Excuse me. I went to my doctors about that, and I was put on a prescription about 18. 12 dihydrocodeine a day and 5 blue Valium a day. And then I noticed that everybody was taking heroin and that round about me, and I was already an opiate sort of thing, so tried heroin. Everybody was doing it in the supported accommodation and stuff, and that was the beginning of my journey on being an addict for 26 years and being on prescription drugs for 26 years.
And kind of what was daily life like for you during your hardest times?
Stealing, robbing, manipulating, skullduggery, day in, day out, constant, tiring, exhausting, feeling worthless, feeling useless. I hate the word junkie, but I felt like it every single day. No personal hygiene, no self-worth. Didn't really care about myself or anybody else as long as I was getting the drugs that I needed.
And did people around you know what you were doing, or did you keep it hidden?
I thought nobody knew. Well, to my family and all that are fair. I scheme in Edinburgh, so I was up at the city centre, so and my family and all that have spoke to me for years, and that was just the way it was. So you find your people. I thought they were all friends and I thought they were all close people and stuff, but when you're in addiction, you're all out to get each other, and there's no friendships. There's nobody that cares about you. It's the loneliest place. It's the loneliest thing, being an addict, the loneliest thing.
And what kind of impact did that have in relationships, like friends, family, work?
Definitely my personal relationships were terrible. Gravitated towards guys, bad boys, drug dealers, guys that had been in the jail and stuff, looked all attractive because they had what I wanted. They were paying me a bit of attention, nothing in it, but personal relationships were terrible. There was no opportunity for job or that because I wasn't responsible. I wasn't responsible for myself, so I could never be responsible for anybody else or work.
And I mean, looking at that, it must have been a kind of difficult place to be in. And you've touched on where you grew up in Edinburgh, and obviously we're now in the west coast of Scotland, and if you want to say in the outskirts of Glasgow. So at some point you've made a decision to move away. When did you realise that staying where you were wasn't going to work for you?
honestly I believe the day if I didn't move when I did through here, the way I was using, and I'm also fleeing domestic violence as well. So the way things were going, I honestly don't think I would be here. Moving through here and doing the right stuff, I think saved my life. I think if I was through there doing what I was doing, there wouldn't have been any. My mental health was away, was shot. I'd attempted suicide. I'd been in the mental hospital. I was just lost. I was just done.
And to me, that sounds like a really brave step to take. You know, I can imagine it must have been both scary and possibly hopeful at the time. What was going through your mind when you decided to leave?
Terrified. I came through here with a friend, someone I knew. I'd never heard the recovery. When I went for help to my doctor or stuff, I was put on all different antipsychotics or antidepressants, shifted about every single one. I was put up on my script, or I was told it was just the way I was, whatever. It was terrifying because when you're in addiction for 26 years, it's all you ever know. And the sad thing is I'd accepted that that was going to be me until the end of whenever my life would end. But it was terrifying at first. And when you come into the unknown, for me personally, my addiction isolated me. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't jumping about drug dens and people, and I had all these people. I was so isolated. It was, aye.
And looking back at that, you know, do you think you could have made the same progress if you'd have stayed at home?
Oh, absolutely no. I'd never heard the recovery. I'd never heard the organisations. And I think the recovery through here is it's just something I'd never thought of. I wasn't introduced to it. No doctors had told me about it, no psychiatrists, no CPNs had ever said there's this, there's that, there's a different way of life. Do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? Because I don't know, I mean, I would have tried something. I'd burnt my life to the ground. I'd lost everything, my kids and everything, so I would have tried something.
And did you ever feel that you wanted help but didn't really know how to ask?
I don't know if wanting help was, I knew I was done. Didn't know what to live, didn't know what to die. Your soul's black, you're just lost. It's a horrible place to be in. It's the darkest of the darkest places. And
if we can look at that, you know, that, as you've said, it's the darkest of places and all that kind of thing. Is there a moment or just a situation that made you decide that you need to get clean, you need to get recovery?
I was a heroin addict for 26 years on prescription drugs. And then the last 2.5 years, I met my ex and I moved to crack cocaine. I was an intravenous user, and at the end up, I'd lost my kids. My kids had been removed from my care twice, and I'd lost them. I'd sold my whole house. I was about 5 stone, and there was only 2 options for me. It was either death or do something about it, and that was it.
And that kind of do something about it, but that was moving from Edinburgh to here.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
And when you came here, you know, looking at recovery, what did you do? You know, you're coming here, because I've spoke to people, various people in my line of work, in my job, who will say that about, they've seen people move and flourish, but they've also seen people move and behaviours are just the same. You know, they've sourced out the local drug dealer or whatever and just continued with the behaviour that they were leaving behind. And that all they've done is just move location. So for you, looking at that recovery side of it, what did you do when you come through? Because you maybe had no connections or anything. So how did that look for you when you came here?
So I knew one person when I came through here. I knew no one. I came through here with a clothes on my back. I was through here staying at someone's house for a couple of weeks, and then somebody says to me, there's a place, Women's Aid. I went into Women's Aid. I got a key worker. I linked in with an organisation over the road for Women's Aid. And then I heard about meetings. I'd never heard about any, any of this in my life. I'd never done any sort of recovery, never even tried it. I'd been off my script and all that when I fell pregnant with my twins. I'd done a rapid detox and then went on the Bivadol. But I think when you've been in addiction, heavy addiction for that long, and you're on the Bivadol, you look for something else. It couldn't have been opiates, so I went to crack cocaine on the Bivadol because you can get away with it on the Bivadol. But came through here, and I tried the recovery cafes and stuff, which I'd never done because, as I said, I was isolated for so long. Women's Aid said it'd be a best idea not to maybe go back to Edinburgh because of the ex thing as well. Tried a bit of recovery through here, linked in with the right people, linked in with help. I've never asked for help in my life, and here I was, got help. And then I phoned the social worker that I hadn't engaged with for a long time. I was a social worker, and the help's out there. It's just, I didn't know it was there.
But is that help in heroin? Is that help in Edinburgh? For what you're saying there, recovery cafes and such like, is that in Edinburgh, but you just didn't go looking for it? You only went looking for that help and support when you moved through here?
I've never seen, I know there's meetings and stuff in Edinburgh, but I've never seen recovery. I've never seen recovery at all, but through here was massive. 3 years massive for me. No, I've never been to any recovery cafes or that in my life in Edinburgh. I'd never known about recovery. It's not as well thingy as it is through here. But that's where my journey started, when I linked in with a certain organisation. I started recovery cafes. I went to a meeting. It was terrifying. It was all alien. Using these words, and then the thought of being clean and sober never crossed my mind. So that was a big pull to swallow, if you like.
I can get that way. We speaking with people, again, like that. I have spoke to people who thought getting clean and sober, thinking my life's over.
Aye.
I've spoke with people who have had problems with drink and thinking, well, I can't go out for a meal because there's drink included in that. I can't do Christmas because there's drink included in that. And and when I hear you saying now, you made engagement, as part of me coming from a community development background.
Yeah.
And that's my education and that's my work. It's about creating connection. It's about creating things like that. And it's great to hear you say that you come through here and looked for that to look at your recovery. So what did the early days of recovery look like for you? I know you say it's that getting clean and sober, because we've had people say, I'm scared to get sober because my life in addiction, that's the norm.
Yeah. Aye. So as I said, see when you're in something and it's all you know, it's quite scary to come into something, and addicts don't like change, so it's all about change. The clean and sober thing, I'd never been in clean and sober for 26 years, so that was terrifying. The 40 no using again was terrifying, but as I say, like, even through here I could have went a whole different path, but I wanted to see what was out there. I wanted to better my life, and it was all through here. I met nice people and met lovely people and stuff, and they were willing to show me the way, and they had sort of the same experiences and that as me, and as doubtful as I was and no believing anybody, because I've never believed anybody in my life. There was something about them, and they can't all be lying, all these people, and they're all smiling and they're clean and sober and they're living life today as they should be living it.
And if you don't mind me asking, how long have you now been clean and sober?
17 months I'm clean and sober. Never had a day clean in my life, and I'm 17 months. 17 months.
Brilliant, right? Fantastic. And how has that now changed things for you? Again, going back to relationships and all that. You mentioned your twins and things like that. You mentioned they took out your care, and you mentioned family and all that kind of thing. How now has been this 17 months clean and sober, which should be applauded and should be celebrated, and hopefully there's many more. How has that done with your relationships?
My personal relationships, I think the most important one is the relationship with myself. I think that's really important because I've always hated myself. I've always thought of myself. I've always felt worthless. I felt no good. I felt tiny amongst society. I've always felt looked down on, and maybe rightly so. The way I was living, it was animalistic. But the day I engage with my kids' social workers, they stay with their gran and pops in Edinburgh, which is fine. It's a voluntary placement, but thinking of my kids today instead of thinking of myself, I've decided to let them stay in Edinburgh. I still see them, they come through to stay. I go through to Edinburgh. My dad and stuff still speak to my mum and aunties and that. They don't speak to me, and I'm given time. But you know what they do, instead of being like, oh, I'm doing well and how dare they and look at me. It's not like that. I've put them through so much, and I've put their grandchildren in harm's way and all that. So I get it. But my personal relationships have completely changed. I trust in people now. I trust in services. I never trusted doctors. I never trusted anybody, because when I used to go to a doctor, as much as they put me up and I manipulated the life out of them, because I'm not feeling a certain way, and then I knew they would. So it was just pure manipulation tactics. But I wouldn't change this life I just wish I'd got it years ago, but I've got it now.
But hindsight's a wonderful thing.
That's it.
And I hear you touch on there, and you admit some of your behaviours, and you talk about family, maybe some of them still not speaking to you and all that kind of thing. And personally, when I look at my own family, with my own brother and all that, from a family perspective, I can sometimes understand that, and when we talk, our group, Rocky Road Support Group, we talk about manipulation, as what you've mentioned, but we also talk about us as family members. It's like walking down both sides of a road.
Yeah. Aye.
But I'll always say I would never cross over to my brother's side of the road.
Aye.
I'm expecting him to cross over to my side for me to support him. I'll meet him halfway.
Yeah.
But I'll never go further than halfway across the road. It needs to come from him.
Aye.
And I think, personally, I believe that I can't change his behaviours.
Yep.
And it needs to come from, and what I'm hearing for you, that it all came from you. And I'm glad to hear you say that, it's a relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Because you had lost all self-worth, self-esteem, and now hopefully that's coming back. Thinking of all the supports, because you mentioned lots there. You mentioned Women's Aid, which I think is a fantastic organisation. You've mentioned recovery cafes. You've mentioned services, doctors. What kind of support really made a difference for you? If I was to say, I just want to hear one, I want you to talk about one that made a difference to you. Because sometimes I get with people going, I believed in that service because somebody just made me feel they wanted to give me a hug and wanted to listen to me. What made a real difference for you?
For me, to be honest with you, it was the people just like me, because I used to think I was the only one that felt the way I did, that used the way I did, that done things. I thought I was the only one. So see, coming through here and meeting all these people, whether it be in fellowships, meetings, cafes, and knowing that they're just like me, they used to live like me, they've had kids removed from their care like me, they've tried to attempt suicide, like they've done things that I've done, and I think one addict, one alcoholic speaking to another is a beautiful thing, because you just get it. Because you can go and have conversations with doctors and stuff, and I'm not saying anything, but a lot of doctors and stuff, or whoever, they've read out of books and it's no lived experience. And then I think there can be sometimes a conflict of that, because in my mind it's like, well, you didn't understand because you've never lived the life I've lived, and you're just seeing it because you've read it, which is probably judgmental of me. But I think it's the people in recovery based, whatever it may be. It's the people for me.
So really the whole recovery community
Yeah.
is what has supported you.
Aye, definitely.
And I hear you say sometimes that wee bit about lived experience, and sometimes that's where I like to hear some of that, and I like to hear that bit of debate. And I look at going, because sometimes people say to me, I've not got a lived experience, but I believe I've got a lived experience in a different way. I've got a lived experience as a family member. What I'll say in my group is for the outside looking in.
Yep.
Yous have tended to have a lived experience for the in, but sometimes no less necessarily looking out, because yous have been.
Aye.
And I'd say that, used to say that to my brother, because you've been that out of it.
Aye.
You're only seeing the in.
Aye.
You don't see the out. I'm seeing the outside, but I'm also seeing the in,
Aye.
because I'm seeing the mess that you're in.
Yep.
And that's maybe where some of your family's
No, of course. But
angst is coming from.
so see, addiction, it's a family disease, just as recovery is. And see what you just says, you get it because you've been that close to it, so you get it.
And what keeps you going now? What helps you keep grounded?
What keeps me grounded is I do my meetings. I'm doing a wee placement. I'm responsible today. I'm responsible to keep money and stuff. I do the right things. I do prayer and meditation. What keeps me going today is just knowing that I'm trying to be a better person than what I was. I'm not up to all these daft behaviours. I'm not up to any skullduggery. I'm no robbing. I'm no thieving. I'm no being, and I'm not driven by addiction. And that is the biggest freedom and peace of mind I've ever had. I've never had this peace of mind. I've never had this peace of mind, and I wouldn't change it for anything today.
What do you think, and I asked this in a previous podcast, what do you think people misunderstand the most about addiction?
I think you touched on it earlier. I think, see, if you've been an addict or an alcoholic and you're so stuck in it, and so, see a way out, see when the 40 day in a rattle, see the 40, like, even like rehabs and all that. And now I've spoke to people in the past couple of weeks, and now, and they're basically, they're dying, they're psychosis, they're this or that, and it's a shame because they're not getting help. I was speaking to a woman on the bus that works for an organisation yesterday, and these people are in their mental health shot through the roof. They're in psychosis or this, and so people can't take them because it's mental health, and not. It's mad now.
Mm-hmm. And looking at you, what does recovery mean to you today? As I says again previously, not just about being clean, but about really living.
Recovery means for the rest of my life to me. It means for the rest of my life. Like, this isn't a game. Like, I nearly lost my life many a times. As I said, I was an intravenous user for a long, long time on hard drugs, and I'd lost everything. Recovery means doing the right things. It means linking in with different services. It means helping others. And it just means keep putting one foot in front of the other. And they say one day at a time, and I absolutely believe that, because nobody knows what's round the corner. But it's a way of life now. It's a way of life, and I just wish I got it a long time ago, but hindsight is a...
Yeah, but we're here now.
That's
we're
it.
17 months
it.
Sober. And that's the next, kind of looking at the next question, what are you proud of today that maybe wouldn't have seemed possible before?
I still find it a bit hard to say I'm proud of myself, because it's something that I've never been as proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for having the courage to actually do something about addiction, instead of, because when you're in addiction, it's constant, it's 24/7, It's so exhausting, and it's everything's out the window, your person, everything. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for getting out of addiction and basically saying F you to it, because it took so much of my life. It took my kids, it took my family, off my making. That was off my making. But you didn't wake up one morning when you're a wee lassie and go, I'm choosing to live like this for X amount of years. You know, it's this addiction is a disease. It really is a disease, and needs to be taken seriously. So I'm proud of myself. You better believe I'm proud of myself. This is quite a cliche. This is a life beyond anything I could ever imagine, because I never imagined it. Never even fathomed a day clean in my life. It's just accepting unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. How have you changed as a person? Now that you, as you've stated earlier on, this was 26 years of your life, and now we're 17 months clean and sober. We're hoping 26 years clean and sober and many, many more. Yeah. How have you changed as a person?
I would say I've done a 360 change. I would say my confidence in that was on the deck. I had no self-esteem, no self-worth. I've changed massively, but the most I've changed is I've changed into a good person. I'm a responsible person today. I'm a mum today. I'm present. I'm emotionally there. I'm there. My dad's not well right now. He's got terminal cancer. I'm there. I show up. I turn up. I'm responsible for work and stuff. I'm responsible for other people. And I'm just a better person. Keep being a better person, and I just keep doing the right things, and I'll continue to do so.
And that goes back to where when I asked the question about what people misunderstand the most about addiction, and you touched on it a bit there, and that's what I firmly believe, and I believe that in my own brother, even though it frustrated me and it made me angry and all that kind of thing.
Aye.
You know, we're human beings at the end of the day. Yep. There is a good person in there.
Aye.
And it's just trying to get that out and working on things that you're doing, working in connection, working with like-minded people, can do that. Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads me, if somebody was listening here today and struggling, what would you want to say to them?
I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. Don't give up. There's helplines. There's so many things you can do. There's things like this podcast now. I felt so lonely. I've never been lonely in my life. So lonely in my life. Please reach out. Please ask for help. Link in with services. Your life's worth it today. Doesn't matter how down that dark tunnel you are, there is light at the end of it. I promise you. Listen, if I can do it, I was a write-off. See if I can do it. Anybody can do it. And please just, don't give up on yourself. That's it.
I would like to say thanks very much for sharing your story with us. I know people listening to this will probably take a lot for what you've said. Your honesty, your journey, in my eyes, are really powerful. And I'm grateful that you've let us be part of this today. But there's one thing I like to close with, and I've said it myself and I've asked others. If you had the world's attention, the whole world's attention for 5 minutes, what would you say to
them? Drug addicts and alcoholics are just people like you and me. They're beautiful, but they're lost in a disease. If somebody had cancer, you'd be right there to help them. Well, this is a disease of addiction. Give them some help. Your drug treatment centres, your services, hype them up, because we need them. By God, we need them. There's people dying out there. This shit's real. Know what I mean? This is people's lives. They're human beings. They're mums, their sons, their daughters, their brothers, their sisters. They're somebody, and they're worth it. They're worth it. I'm worth it, and I was always worth it. See the light in them. See the light in them. Light their wee eyes up again. have a wee bit of empathy for these people, because they're just like us. They're one of us. You know what I mean? They're just lost in addiction or alcoholism.
Thank you.
Thank you.